Hey everybody, welcome to Dive. We're so glad you can join us. I see there's around 30 of you here tonight, which is really awesome, and we hope some more people are joining as we're going. But I'm just going to open us up with a little bit of prayer. So would you all please fold your hands, bow your heads, and pray with me. Dear God, we thank you so much for everything that is happening in our lives, even though we're stuck inside. We thank you for this opportunity to gather together to talk about the hope that comes from you and from your resurrection. Help us to learn a little bit about the ways that you're working in our lives right now. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, so I'm here at Christ Lutheran Church. I got Chance, my sound guy, back here, and my friend Kevin over here. We're also joined by Sarah Q from her home in Blaine. And we have a couple special guests that we're going to introduce to you a little bit later. Thanks, Sarah Q. So our guest for the night is Carrie Jerome. You might know her. She's pretty popular. She's one of our key Wednesday night volunteers. She leads Playground, which is the group of preschool parents that meets. And as Sarah Q and I were thinking about who should talk about hope tonight, Carrie was one of the first people on our mind. Just thinking about that Bible verse of who overflows with hope and spreads it to the people around her. So that's why she's going to speak to us tonight. But I'm actually going to let Carrie give a little bit more detailed of an introduction of herself, a little bit about what she does and where she's from.
All right. Hi, everybody. Yeah, that always makes me so humble when you say that. I think my high school days of cheerleading are rubbing off on my adult self. Anyway, no. So anyway, I'm Carrie, and I keep saying to people that I feel like I've come back to Christ Lutheran when I first started teaching down here in the metro area 25 years ago. I came to Christ Lutheran because my aunt and uncle come to Christ Lutheran. That's Bob and Sue Christensen, if anybody knows them. My cousin Matt Christensen and his family are very active still too. And then fast forward many, many years, I had a baby and we needed childcare for him, and we were having a hard time finding infant care, and came across Christ Lutheran as having infant care. I knew they had a preschool, but I didn't know that they had infant care. So anyway, we kind of fell into Christ Lutheran again with Keegan going to the early learning center, which has been like the greatest blessing ever, that we have found these amazing people who are helping us to raise this kid. But Keegan is the one who brought us back because it was like his community. Christ Lutheran was his community. We would walk through the halls and people would be greeting him, and we were like, this is our place, this is for us. And so we started doing more and more, and that's how I started going to Playground that Sarah Q was running last year. And we just really, we need that kind of community. We need people like that. And so that's what brought us to Playground, and then my whole family now is part of Christ Lutheran. So yeah, and so yeah, I'm a teacher. I'm a middle school teacher. I teach 8th grade and have been doing that for a long time.
Awesome, thanks, Carrie. So we're gonna run through a couple of questions, and the first one I have for you is: do you have maybe a story or two that you could share about hope, or that show how God is working through your life during this time of stay in place and stay at home?
Yeah, well, so I find hope a lot. I am always kind of a hopeful person, like you were kind of saying earlier, and always looking for the bright side, or always looking for the positive, or something to look forward to. And I think a huge part of that comes from me being with kids all the time. I think kids are hugely full of hope, and they bring us hope and promise of what's to come. And so maybe because I'm around kids all the time, I have been my whole entire life, I think that's a huge part of it. I do have a kind of a really cool story. My students, I teach English as a second language, so a lot of my students are struggling with not being at school right now. And in the beginning, struggled with getting technology and getting internet and Wi-Fi, everything set up so that they could be as engaged in school as everybody else. And so I did a lot of personal outreach with my students and calling and talking with parents and problem solving and things like that. And one of my boys, his parent, his stepmom and his dad were splitting up. That was happening before all this went down, but that actually happened now, about 2 weeks ago now. So he and his dad are alone in their apartment, and he was really in need of some hope, some love, some joy. He was really struggling, and um, I had already talked to my students about bringing books or bringing puzzles, decks of cards, things like that a lot of my students don't have access to. And he was one. He wanted some DVDs. I'm like, that's perfect. I have all these DVDs that I was divvying out. And then he said, I really would love a DVD player. And I was like, oh, a DVD player? I don't have a DVD player. And then I was thinking, I think we might have an old DVD player in the garage. I sent my husband out there. I said, go grab that DVD player, but we'll have to dig up some cords. Guys, they always have cords, right? So he's going to be able to find some cords, and we'll figure it out so that my student can watch some DVDs. Travis, my husband, came in the house. He's like, I found it. And he had a brand new DVD player in the box that he found in the garage. I've never seen that DVD player in my life. I have no idea where that DVD player came from, but we brought to my 8th grader a brand new DVD player in the box. We put batteries in the remote and a bunch of he collapsed into my arms. And it was like the greatest. This is what I need too. I need my kids, and it was like the greatest thing. And I don't know if that's not God providing. I don't know what is, because I have no idea where that came from. That's something he needed at that moment. So
Absolutely. I'm getting goosebumps.
yeah.
I don't know if any of the rest of you are. It might just be that the heat is off the church, but I think it was mostly that story. Carrie, I'm wondering, are there any just things that you're finding in your teaching and your parenting a little bit challenging right now?
Well, I think many teachers are very extroverted kind of people. And I am super having a hard time not seeing people, not seeing my students. Sarah Q, when you mentioned everyone turn your cameras on, because even when I talk to students on our technology stuff, a lot of times they have their cameras off for many reasons. Some of them it's too hard on their speed of their internet if they have their camera on, but seeing them makes such a difference. And I feel like that's one of the challenges, is not seeing people, and then not seeing our friends too. My 4-year-old doesn't understand. He gets that there's a sickness we talk about. We've talked about it in a 4-year-old level, but like, why can't we go into Target? Why do we have to sit here and have them deliver our bags? I want to go in there. And why can't we go to the park? It's a beautiful day. We can play outside, but we can't go to the park. And so I think a big challenge is seeing people and being with people, which is why, even though playground isn't really happening right now, because it's really hard to get a 4-year-old to engage like this. Good job, little Andrew there, being engaged. But it's really hard for him, so that we're not seeing people. But so we're trying to find other ways to be with people right now.
Absolutely. This next question I'm going to ask you, Carrie, but also I'm going to ask everyone here tonight. So if you have an answer to this question, and I hope you do, I want you to type it in the chat as Carrie's talking, and then we're going to let Sarah Q share some of those answers. But the next question is, Carrie, how are you experiencing hope during this time? And where and how do you look for it or find hope?
Well, I've always thought that it takes a village for everything, not just to raise a child, but it just takes a village. We need each other. We need people. We need it's everything is more challenging if we're by ourselves. And besides being a teacher, I'm also a stepmom. I have 2 older kids, and I have a village for that. I have a village of stepmoms that we get together and we support each other, because there's all kinds of crazy challenges with that. And the playground and our ECFE classes, and just getting together with friends to support each other as moms of 4-year-olds. I'm part of that. I need my village of my Christians, my people that can raise me up and be there for me. And then I just need to remind myself too that even when I am in my house by myself, that God is with me and that I do have a village all the time. And so I'm always looking for hope and to look to my village, but also be there for other people too, because they need villages too.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to go over to Sarah Q. And Sarah Q, would you mind sharing some of the responses we're getting in the chat right now?
Yeah. So there's a lot of talk about hope, finding hope in family right now, and dinners and food with family, unemployment benefits, taking walks, being outside. Oh my goodness, what a blessing is this weather. I keep thinking, I can't imagine if we would be in this position right now in January or November or something. So I'm grateful for the weather also. Definitely find hope in that. Pastor Kent said, hope. My neighbors are helping me move all the rocks in front of my lawn, my front lawn, garden beds. Whoa, that is so amazing. How we need each other and help each other. Sarah said, I can't wait to see everyone again, and I miss you all. Bella said, Zoom meetings with my basketball teammates 4 to 5 times a week. That's so great. I also wonder, what would we do if we didn't have technology right now? I saw my brother, sister-in-law, and nephew and niece. Oh, jumped. And it filled my heart with hope. Sarah Fuller. Yes. And there's a lot of puppies, apparently. Pastor Kent is buying a lot of puppies.
Puppies are awesome.
Puppies are great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they cost a little bit more to keep in an apartment than a cat, but that's all right. All right. Thanks for sharing it in the comments, everyone. I just have one more question for you, Carrie. As we look towards the future, whether it's tomorrow or the next month or the next year, what things are giving you hope, and what are you hoping for?
Well, right now, I think part of being outside today played a huge part. We're holding out hope for returning to school, but I'm gonna bet we're gonna find out different later this week. But I feel like I know we'll see you again. We'll be together soon. We'll look back on this and it'll be a memory eventually someday. That is my hope, that we'll just all be back together. So.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. I know you're all muted, but can you all just give a really loud round of applause for Carrie? That was really awesome. Yeah, jazz hands, whatever you want.